Hey, everybody. Let's do a Thursday, February 16th sports algorithm podcast. Uh, Busy, rainy day today, but we have prepared things. And I mean, like everything I said yesterday actually won. It's pretty intense. And when you spend a lot of time reading the algorithm, you can start to infer some things. So we'll go through games for NHL, and we're actually going to start with NBA because it's very easy. There's absolutely nothing to play today. I'm using a distribution for NBA that involves just this crazy number 33 that had an awesome day yesterday. It screws stuff up a little bit, but it was so close and so incredible when it came to point projections and stuff yesterday. I mean, look at how unbelievable this distribution was. I mean, it was hitting point like what on earth? It was really, really awesome. So I'm just, rolling the dice and trying it again. Unfortunately, there's nothing to play. Because you got weird injuries here. You got injured Suns here, so they probably don't win, but the line isn't that great for the Clippers. And Timberwolves are actually not even as healthy as the Wizards, and this is not a great line for no margin. So it's like, wow. So absolutely nothing to play NBA. We're just Xing out NBA. It's pointless. So let's go over to hockey, where I talk from experience and from watching a lot of games and being interested in hockey. I mean, I'm a hockey player. I need to get out and skate. I bought a new hockey stick. I haven't even used it yet because I broke all my wood sticks. Anyway, let's talk about the hockey look. First of all, algorithm did hit its number one pick of the day yesterday, and and a lot of the information from it was really helpful when wagering on games. Yeah, the Rangers won and they covered right in between the number. All right, so let's take a look at today, Thursday. I know we're like an hour before the game start. So, number one pick of the day is Winnipeg over Columbus. So Rittich going, Korpisalo going, very strong across the board, goaltender and everything. Big margin. Winnipeg playing okay. So that's less than minus 200. So here again, we have another number one pick of the day. That's around minus 200. You take these things to win in hockey because it's tough to cover sometimes. But there you go. So that's number one. What about number two? Vegas over San Jose with Aiden Hill going. He has a pretty good rating this year. Also right around minus 200. San Jose has played a little better. But anyway, so that's a number two pick. Number three, Boston over Nashville. This one, a little better line, and you can see that Boston finally came out and broke out of a mini slump last game, I think. Will they beat Nashville, a team that's also struggling? Probably. So that's actually kind of a reasonable line for where that is. Number four pick, Seattle over Philadelphia. Carter Hart going. Bad goaltenders here, so an over is another possibility. We see low goaltender numbers. It says they get to 6.1. It's probably set at 6.5, I bet. It said it's 6. So if you can get over 6 there, that's not a bad shot either there in that game. Number 5, Jersey over St. Louis. St. Louis picked it up since the break, but Jersey, a pretty darn good team, actually, probably on their way to making the playoffs this year, the way they're playing. Really good goaltender rating. Looks like an under in this game. What's the under set at? New Jersey and St. Louis is 6.5. So this is one where it's bringing up the under in this game because it thinks that Vanchek's goaltending is so good so far that it's going to slow down goal scoring. Binnington, not great this year, but still says the Devils don't put up even more than 5. So under 6.5, not bad in the Devils to win. Number 6, Detroit over Calgary at plus 230, even though it doesn't say what by win strength, it does say by point projections after goaltender rating. Magnus Hellberg is expected. Yikes, against Vladar. Calgary is a team that you can see they're not playing well. And Detroit here on a back-to-back game. That's why you're getting this really juicy line here. But the algorithm says that, when you take everything into account, you're really, boy, it's a risk though. But that's a big juicy line for a team that just knocked off Edmonton and somebody else too. Like they're actually playing really well. So when you get a team playing really well at plus 230, that's a straight bet right there. What else we got? Number 7, Florida over my Capitals here in Washington today. I'm going to take the Caps at +102 because I'm a Caps fan. Says it's really, 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 really close. You got no Ovechkin still. Tough to say what happens here. I'm just rooting for the Caps, but that's really a no bet game. It's too close. 8 and 9, Carolina. Now I'm surprised because Montreal's playing so well out of the break. They apparently have a shot at doing the impossible and beating Carolina at this +355 line because these think this is really, really close. It's way down at the bottom. Maybe Montreal +1.5 or something is a lot safer in a hockey game, and you'll get a worse line, but you probably get +2.5 in this game. And that's, I mean, that's kind of interesting because they're playing so well. Anytime playing so well, don't bet against Martin St. Louis is what I always say. And so that's an interesting look right there at that game. I think that's everything. Yeah, 8 and 9 would be the last game. So in summary for hockey, it's Columbus losing to Winnipeg, and Winnipeg being the pick of the day. But there's a lot of bettable stuff up here with Vegas and Jerry. I talked about over-unders. You can go back and look. Now let's go to college basketball. So college basketball is pretty good. We are going to do our quick little thing where we just look and we say home teams, and we sort by, I mean, there are a lot of home teams. We expect to win like between 80 and 90%, and sometimes upwards of 90% like yesterday. There's 29 of them. Now let's sort this by line value because I've supposedly done all the programming work that this is just supposed to work. And are there any line value games? There are 4 of them. Okay, no points have happened yet. So 5 of them. There are 5 of them, and there are these games right here. So you've got, okay, you have the rare home underdog of Idaho over Northern Colorado. Oh my goodness, rare home underdog. We almost never see them anymore. They're the rare spotted owl. The bald eagle, the bald eagles are repopulating everywhere. It's the sperm whale of the day. It's the home underdog. Almost never have them. Very low margin, but it's Idaho +104. There's Appalachian State at home against Texas State -190. There's a semi-injured Portland and a pretty injured Idaho State. Portland State at -190. Northeastern at -200, and Coastal Carolina at -105. You can go all the way down to line value of -50-ish, which is right there. And that gets you all of these games: Madison, Arizona State, Morehead State, and Tennessee Martin. Notice really low margins here, though. These 3 have higher margins. So your App State, Portland State, Northeastern actually have home margins above 10%. And also, that's -360 though. Yeah, lines start getting really ugly. So these 3 are, and the Idaho game, which is the low margin, but it is an underdog. And I mean, even though you get a bad strength of schedule here for Idaho, which is probably why you're getting an underdog line here, they're not that powerful team. But man, saying no to betting a home underdog, I used to call them pot of gold picks because home underdogs in the algorithm at no bump, I mean, they have a pretty good record, and even all they have to have is better than 50% record, and you're always getting paid because they are an underdog if that line is still good. So there's, the algorithm is recommending these 5 value picks, right? That's what it said. And yesterday, all 4 of them won. So do you put these on like a round robin or something? I think you kind of do. I mean, you're supposed to win these games 90% of the time. If you go 4-1, you still make money on most round robin structures in something like this. So straight bets are supposed to be profitable, but these are also supposed to win a high percentage of their games because they're home teams. So we shall see. A few more lines down there, but not great. What about away teams? And when I say away teams, I actually mean the home team on the other side is a bettable. So let's go back down and resort this by margin because it's easier to look for what we're doing here. So these are the most powerful away teams on the top. And I did a little exercise yesterday in the recap video talking about the profitability of betting only home teams. with your teams over here, because like one of these won yesterday at like plus 900 or something. You can see what the other side of this looks like in a second, but basically anywhere where there'd be like an injured team here or something, you consider like this one maybe, but they are an underdog. So this is a favorite on the other side. When it's an underdog line here, it means this team's actually a favorite, even though the algorithm's predicting this team wins at no home bump at all. You can see in your margins, the home bump could be anywhere all the way up to about here, is what a random home bump could be, anywhere between like 5 and 20% for the day. So that means that all of these teams could potentially lose on the road. And I would be like, yep, that's within home bump range. So your big favorites here, you could potentially bet against them, like this one, like Hartford and Merrimack. Now we can bring this in by putting a 20% home bump in here, and you'll see at that point then that you'll have home teams and you'll have now some underdogs. And these are the potential ones that might win. So that Hartford and Merrimack at 310, really juicy. That's worth a shot. And then even maybe this one of Kennesaw State against Liberty at plus 230 as well. It's possible. And then you get some higher margins up here. Pacific San Francisco, it's plus 180. And this Denver, South Dakota State, a little injured, is also potential. When you look at a list like this, usually half of these away teams, which are originally favored at no home bump, like that's what these teams are originally favored by the algorithm without putting the 20% home bump in there. If the home bump pushes these teams to the top, but I would say only half of these away teams lose anyway in the original list. So there's 8 of them. So expect to get 4 of these right. And they're all underdogs. So there's an argument to be made for just betting straight bets on all of them, because you're going to be profitable here. You're going to hit 4 of these. I can't promise you anything for sure, but you probably hit 4 of them or more. Like they're home teams and they win all the time. So when you think about it that way, it becomes a real good idea to make some straight bets and spread them across, especially the bigger odds ones, because like these 6 here, you probably go 3 and 3 here, which means you absolutely win money on straight bets. So it's just something to consider when looking at the algorithm, because it's really difficult to get good lines on. There's only that one home underdog naturally for the day. It's tough to get good lines on games down here. You get injured Arizona State, you get injured Memphis. I mean, you got injured Eastern Kentucky. Like these are things probably to stay away from, but it's tough other than what I just did, which is take some home teams on the other side of things at big lines in games that are probably going to be closer than you think. That's probably the best way to straight bet this before the games start. After the games start, I mean, the in-game cash out option, in-game betting options, like if you really want to watch a game or watch some games, you use this algorithm as a guide about what's supposed to happen. You focus on home teams for sure. And if your home teams end up dropping down early by a significant amount of points, you get them at an amazing line. You bet them because it's a basketball game. It takes a long time to finish, and the better team works itself out, and home teams, have that edge just historically looking at the stats. So that's the podcast, Sports Algorithm podcast for the day. No NBA to bet. Winnipeg pick of the day hockey. And is there a pick of the day? I guess you have to be that home underdog. Like you can't say no to home underdog. Even though the margin's super low, it's not going to win every time, but this is a long-term profitable EV bet. When the algorithm gives you a home underdog, they whatever, they win, they lose, but that's the type of bet that a sharp bettor makes in that situation, because they're so rare and they're a home team, and if they lose, they lose. But if they look at this at our home underdogs historically, and you'll find that, especially at the beginning of the season when there are more of them, they do really well, and they're supposed to. All right, so good luck, and Emil, your picks. Be winning.